history is that actually we began our journey in entrepreneurship just after independence. First, Prime Minister Nehruji brought the Firodia family and the Bajaj family together. Being an employee, I learned about professional ethic. I learned about the spirit of, competitiveness. Fastest overnight success takes 15 years. That a very famous and successful coach is also agreeing with my thoughts. I was employee number one in that company, and then we built a team from scratch. I felt very convinced that electric is the future of automotive technology.
Thanks for joining me. And today we have with us in the studio none other than Sulajja Firodia Motwani, the founder and CEO of Kinetic Green. Sulajja is an Indian entrepreneur. She recently formed a JV with Tonino Lamborghini SPA to bring global design and technology for electric and solar golf carts and tourism vehicles, which will be manufactured in India and marketed globally. She is also the vice chairperson of Kinetic Engineering Limited. She is also responsible for this group's overall business strategy and development. And she joins us today on the Payal Nanjiani Leadership Podcast to talk about redefining entrepreneurship. Sulajja, welcome to this podcast. It's a very good honor to have you here with us.
Good morning, and really happy to be here having this conversation.
Great. And I know today when you and I were talking, you mentioned about you being featured in Fortune's India's Most Powerful Award that you have received this month. And beginning from there, I'm sure to reach here, there has been a big journey. So let's go back in time, talk about this journey until then and until now. How has it been?
Well, it's been a journey of absolute passion, I would say, perseverance. And as I always say, there's never a dull moment. I think if I were to summarize my life, it would be in this sentence: never a dull moment. I absolutely love what I do, and I could not have imagined my life any other way. So for me, it's been something which is extremely fulfilling, something that comes to me naturally. Maybe I have the entrepreneurship genes in me because come from a family of entrepreneurs. It also contains a flavor of service to the nation, which is what are the values that were imbibed in me by my grandfather, my father, my grandmother, and I'm very proud that I have a chance to take ahead that legacy. So it's been a wonderful journey. Of course, it's had its ups and downs. It's had other its passion and perseverance. But when you love what you do, as they say, there's never a day that you
Yeah.
work, uh, and it's really been something I'm very grateful for.
So before being the founder of Kinetic, were you working somewhere? What was it like? Or have you always been an entrepreneur?
So, well, I grew up, as I said, in a family of entrepreneurs. My grandfather was the founder of the Kinetic Group or the Firodia family of
Right?
enterprises. And the group's history is that actually we began our journey in entrepreneurship just after independence. We
Okay.
come from a Gandhian family, very much known for our role in the freedom struggle.
Wow.
And our first Prime Minister, Nehruji, brought the Firodia family and the Bajaj family together to help industrialize the nation. And we started a venture together called Bajaj Auto,
Okay.
where we were the managing partner and the Bajajes were the financiers. Subsequently, we started another company called Bajaj Tempo, which is now called Force Motors. And then there was a split between the families, and our family took charge of Bajaj Tempo, which then became one of the leading makers of commercial vehicles. My father, a brilliant R&D, brilliant engineer, brilliant student at IIT and MIT, came back from the US, started Kinetic, which made the famous Kinetic Luna.
Okay.
Everybody knows Chalmeri, and also
Yeah.
made the Kinetic Honda scooter in the 80s, which was a vehicle that gave wings of freedom to women and to students. And it was a 16 to 61 bike, called with a lot of love as Kinetic or a Kaiho or a Kaini. It was a very special bike. So I grew up in this kind of an environment, and the dinner conversations at our home were always extremely elevated. It was never talk about property and gossip about other family members. It was always about the country and the economic progress, and what we can do to be better citizens, how we should be proud of our nation. And I really kind of felt very excited and felt very energized. I used to go to the office with my grandfather when I was 7 years old and doodle on his walls. And he would show to everyone with a lot of pride that, look, my granddaughter has, written this. He is my hero. Then subsequently, so, these, I would say the seeds were sown early on that I love what my family is doing. I love what they stand for. And I like the whole world of business and entrepreneurship. Then I went to the US for my higher education. I went to a university called Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh. And I worked in the US for 3 to 4 years at a firm called Barra International in California.
Okay.
It was a very, I would say, boutique, but very highly regarded investment analytics company. I was there at a very crucial time when the company was going public.
Hmm.
And I moved in there in the area of operations, and then the sales and consulting chief saw a spark in me, and he invited me to come and be part of the sales and consulting group.
Okay.
And those 4 years were immensely valuable, Payal. I learned so much. I learned about being an employee. I learned about professional ethic. I learned about the spirit of, competitiveness. I learned about discipline. I learned about working for my commission check. Um, and traveling, wearing these small little business suits in the cold winter. And in those days, there was no GPS. We used to look at a map and find our
Yeah.
customer's office. There was no mobile phone. We used to
Hmm.
leave messages on the voicemails. So it was immense learning. And having done well at Bara gave me a lot of confidence. But that being said, the plan was always to come back and be part of Kinetic, and that calling was always there in my heart.
Wow.
So subsequently, in 96, I came back and then I joined the group after a year where I set up Bara's Indian operations first, and then I joined the group.
Wow, so I mean, it's really been a journey. But you said something over here which I really liked. Like you said, it was a journey. You grew up in a family that spoke about business, that spoke about the country and what you can do for it. At the same time, I am seeing these days the entire population, anywhere you go in the world, whether you're in San Jose or you're in India, everybody just wants to get into entrepreneurship. That entire thing has been so romanticized that we want to become entrepreneurs. They are not going to be working somewhere like you went, you had a job for 4 years, learned the ins and out. Nowadays, people just jump into entrepreneurship. Finish your college, let's start a business. Finish MBA, let's start a business. What would you say is a journey of an entrepreneur that people should be really aware of before jumping into it?
So I would say that they say that the fastest overnight success
Mm.
takes 15 years, and that's the truth. Generally, this whole quick success is, to my opinion, elusive. It may
Mm.
be just one statistic which is extremely uncommon. I would say that entrepreneurship is definitely gratifying to create value, to create jobs, to add to the society in a meaningful way, to feel that sense of being responsible, for creating an enterprise, creating a product. It's extremely gratifying. But that being said, I think entrepreneurship is not for the faint-hearted.
Yeah.
It definitely has its ups and downs. It has many unknown challenges. You need a lot of perseverance, and it's not that it's a predicted route which is predicted. You may start in one direction, but you may have to pivot. You may start with a plan, but you may have to change the plan because you did not get the funding, or the government policy change, or the
Absolutely.
competitive
Yeah.
scenario changed. Along the way, you are paying the paychecks. Along the way, you have your entire skin in the game. So there are many unknowns, and it's definitely a journey which takes perseverance, and it takes long time, except unless you are extremely lucky, But luck is not something you can always count on. So I do believe that it would be really very useful for someone to get experience in the world of business or
Yeah.
corporate world, to get that maturity, to get that understanding of how the systems work, to build some relationships, to build their networks, and then jump into entrepreneurship. That might also help you to hone your skills, communication skills, leadership skills, analytical skills, so that your chances of success would be higher. So there are, of course, a few, high school dropouts, college dropouts who
Yeah.
started something in their basement, and then rose to great success. But these are just probably one in
Yeah, true,
millions and millions.
true.
So I think that while that is a very exciting role model to have, I would still advise that if you are going to put all your eggs in that basket of entrepreneurship, then you better have a big basket which has good cushioning so that those eggs don't break. Um, but that being said, I think entrepreneurship is something we know which has great merit today. Things definitely are easier in terms of funding, in terms of risk capital, in terms of
Yeah,
disruptive opportunities. So all by all means, it's a great journey to go down, but I think it's better to go well prepared with your seatbelt on rather than
true.
go without having that experience and that network behind you.
Absolutely. And I can so resonate with you. In 2007, I remember I left my job in the US and started off into this field of coaching and executive coaching and everything. And I think all of those years which I worked from 1996 or 7 to 2007, those 10 years, gave me really good understanding of what it takes to be in the workforce. And I think without that, at times, and it's a very lonely journey, right? See, entrepreneurship is a lonely journey at the beginning. You don't have everybody around you supporting you. And even if you do, still you have to do a lot on your own. So those years really made the foundation for my work. And I can really relate to what you're saying, that it's better to have that cushioning. It's better to understand the game before you actually start playing the game in reality.
Completely agree. I'm glad that a very famous and successful coach is also agreeing with my thoughts here.
No, absolutely. And when you said that, that so when we're talking about this game, Sulaja, that this is how it is going, and you spoke something about Insta success, which I think nowadays people are looking at a few people here and there, and then they feel we can also do it. Of course, you can do it. No, everyone can do it. However, there is this age in which we are where traditionally success and entrepreneurship was a journey. You had to have your hustles, you had to have those obstacles. And like you rightly said, 15 years is what it takes to get to be known as an overnight success. Now, everybody wants everything very quickly now. How did you do it? How did X person do it? I want to do it. How was your journey? How was my journey? And are those rules, those traditional hustles, valid even today? Or are they outdated and people are looking at something new? Because you're dealing with different generations every day in your own business. How do you see it?
So I think for me, having the American education, working in America was extremely useful. Then coming back and being part of Kinetic, which was an established, business house, was also a very good experience. I led different areas here. I led dealer development, marketing, sales first for the few years. I went across the country. I went to visit 200 plus dealers. So I went to the, smallest towns in every state, not just the Bangalore's and the Hyderabad's and the Chennai's, but, the really small BC towns. And that's been a great learning for me. I know today, you name a town in India, of course, I know where it is, and most likely I've been there. And I know what it looks like, and what the people are there like. I think it's a huge insight that I could get in that early days. Then I ran the manufacturing and the business aspect. And then I took over as a managing director of Kinetic Honda, which is now Kinetic Motor Company. So these years of experience were very good for me. I learned a lot from my father, who's been my mentor. And then in 2012, I kind of jumped into my own venture, which was like a startup. So within the Kinetic umbrella, in a sense that I'm, able to use the
Mm,
great brand Kinetic that we have as part of my brand, which is Kinetic Green. But Kinetic Green began as a EV startup in 2012. I was employee number one in that company, and then we built a
wow.
team from scratch.
Mm,
And it was early days for EV. Of course, today electric vehicles are very fashionable. Everybody wants to be an electric vehicle entrepreneur.
mm,
And one is now able to see that it's no longer if and why EV, but how and when EV. That's
right.
the stage we are at. But
Mm,
in 2012, there were more non-believers than believers. There was no government policy in place. There was no supply chain in place. There was very little demand.
mm,
The cost structures were still not favorable. And there was hardly any awareness about electric vehicles. But I felt very convinced that electric is the future of automotive technology. And then there was no looking back for me. It was a chance to add to the legacy of the family in my own way. So I tell my team always that, when the history of Kinetic Group will be written, the green page will belong to us. We
Ah,
have to make it glorious.
wow.
So there's that sense of purpose over there. But I began this as my own venture. I put my own capital.
Hmm.
My grandmother, had in her will left, part of her wealth for the granddaughter. She was a staunch feminist. Took part in the freedom struggle. She led many women's movements for
Wow.
Gandhiji's
I
and
mean, in
went to
those years,
Madhubani
it
in Bihar
must have really
in
been,
those days.
yeah, I mean, in
Yeah,
those
so
years to be a woman out there like this must have been really not only just a
she was
struggle, but also something big.
she was my guiding spirit. So
Wow.
I put some of that money, whatever I had, part of my inheritance, and started Kinetic Green. Very proud that we could add a lot of value not only to our company but to the sector as a whole.
Hmm.
So over the last 10 years that we've been now in the EV space, we worked on first was Make in India. We began with the idea of making 100% Indian made EV, electric three-wheeler.
Hmm.
In the day, there was no supply chain. I led the electric two-wheeler, three-wheeler policy groups within Niti Aayog, within Department of Heavy Industries. I today also lead FICCI's electric vehicle, or now it's called Green Mobility Committee. I lead IFG's electric vehicle task force. So we played a role in forming the country's e-mobility policy. And I remember when a very famous policy called FAME 2 was announced. At that time, at the helm of Niti Aayog was Mr. Amitabh Kant,
Hmm.
who's a very well-known government bureaucracy leader. He was so inspired by, some of the effort we were making. I would like to believe that we believed in democratizing e-mobility. I said that, look, EV should be for the masses and not for the classes.
Huh.
In America, it's okay that there are a few 100,000 Teslas running around, and that's the main sector there, cars. In India, cars are only 15-20% of the entire
Hmm.
transport sector.
Yeah.
Our people are using two-wheelers and three-wheelers and buses for their
Yeah.
transport. If we are able to electrify these segments, then imagine the kind of reduction in we would bring in pollution. Imagine the kind of benefit
True.
we would bring to them by reducing their transport cost. So, and also because these vehicles are generally running within the city, two-wheelers and three-wheelers and buses, we don't even need to wait for the charging infra to come up, because people can charge their scooters or mopeds or rickshaws at home and run them all day within the city and come back home and charge them. So we don't have to have this chicken and egg situation, always which people speak in EVs, that pehle charging ya pehle EV. So it made also commercial sense for the country to kind of take a jump, like a leap, into ensuring a good number of critical mass of EVs, which would then enable the country to come up with policies for charging and component making, because something has to start first. So these intra-city vehicles, two-wheelers, three-wheelers, buses were the perfect candidate. They were used by vast majority of our society. They were only running 100 kilometers a day, so we could easily give that much range on the vehicle. We didn't need a highway charging infrastructure to come up. And
Okay.
it meant that the government is supporting electrification for the masses, which is in line with the vision of the government. So when FAME 2 was announced, the the tagline that they announced was saying it's time for green mobility for the masses, which was sort of the tagline of Kinetic Green. It was kind of something which our vision was completely aligned. So I'm very happy to have played that role. And I'm also happy that the government is very much focused on supporting this green technology.
That's nice.
I do also believe that the future is green, and this is going to be a big transition that's imminent, inevitable, and imminent, for two, three reasons. One, of course, everything is going green, and the younger generation is concerned about sustainability and environment.
Hmm.
Maybe the generation before, the Gen Zs or millennials were more concerned about some other values, as predominant decision considerations for purchase. But the younger generations are concerned about sustainability. We
Hmm.
owe it to them to leave planet for them.
True.
And secondly, and even like a gadget, it's like a laptop or a tablet on wheels. Everything is connected. It's completely IoT driven. It's a smart vehicle. You can connect it to any device. You can customize things. You can get data at your fingertips. And this is how the younger generation is utilizing products. It's also count intuitive for them, to use this. So I have no doubt that the future is electric, and happy to have, kind of been one of the early entrants there. But that's the fun part. On the other side, there were many challenges. Um, Supply chain. So we had to actually make investments within our entire group, across different group companies who had expertise in different areas, in area of e-axles, motors, controllers, bring technology from abroad and get it, get them to have collaborations to make those subsystems.
Mm.
Invested heavily in design. Um, then we had to create demand. So there was no retail demand. So we actually worked with many government programs and created pilot deployments. Like we worked with Delhi Metro and we provided 1,000 vehicles at Delhi Metro stations, electric three-wheelers. That was very successful. We worked with the UP government and we did ran a program where 10,000 cycle rickshaw pullers were given e-rickshaws
Oh my.
made by Kinetic as a
Okay.
livelihood. And it was a super successful program, Payal. These people were earning 200 rupees a day, physically pulling customers.
Yeah.
Their,
Yeah.
their economic status, social status was at the bottom. The moment they became owners of a Kinetic e-auto, A, their health improved. They were earning now
True.
1,000 to 1,200 rupees a day. Their daughters were getting married in better homes. They could send their kids to school. It was a completely transformational project.
Mm.
And we also created 400 charging stations across UP, which then kind of paved way for UP to now be one of the top EV markets. And there were many other such programs. One of them was even written up in spoken about by our honorable Prime Minister in his Man Ki Baat, which is a radio show that he runs, where we gave electric
Yes.
three-wheelers to women in a Naxalite belt in Chhattisgarh.
Wow.
And he said that normally we expect people in Naxalite belts to have guns there in their hands.
Mm.
But now these women having electric three-wheelers in their hands and they're, earning a livelihood for their family. So these were very gratifying, pilots that we did. And to create the initial population, we worked with Amazon and we worked with Big Basket to put vehicles for last mile delivery.
Mm.
So a lot of interesting innovations also on the business model and on the deployment side, supply chain side, policy side. Manufacturing had to be rethought because we didn't want to have a very high cost when the volumes were not there. So we came up with a very unique asset light new age business model where we could make EVs closer to the market, but control the core technology. So a lot of innovative ways of working. Um, Despite that, there were of course ups and downs, but I think it's been great. We've done very well. We're now one of the leading players in electric two-wheelers and three-wheelers. And as you mentioned in your opening remark, we're about to unveil a range of absolutely stunning golf cars and lifestyle cars with the Lamborghini family.
Mm.
That's something that's going to be a offering. For the first time, an Indian-made EV will be sold globally under one of the most prestigious brands.
Wow. So, I mean, there is so much going on, right? And when you started this, you said something very interesting with all this journey that has happened from you to reach from where you were to this complete Lamborghini SPA that you've come up with now. One thing was very clear, and I think all our audience should really listen to this, is that how you started off physically going to 200 cities, really talking to people, getting the things known. Like you've really, really done that hustle. You've really been there doing that, but making your hands dirty, just doing everything that you could to be making sure that things move in the right direction, not just for the company itself, but country at large, right? And then I would say going to the world at large. So definitely, this is something I want our listeners to walk away with. There has to be a lot of hustle. You have to do the groundwork. You cannot expect success to just be there for you. You have to make sure you become the person who success chases. You cannot be chasing the success. Automatically it becomes a byproduct of what you do. So I think, Sulaja, that was some great insights that you've given. Coming to something which is very close to my heart is you're a woman entrepreneur. I'm a woman entrepreneur. I've met many who are in the business as women. Did you find any type of lessons that you have learned or obstacles that came your way, which you crossed, and you feel that this could be a learning for every woman out there who wants to grow, whether in entrepreneurship or whether in the career?
So I would say that it's been more about the internal strength that I had to bring to the table. I don't think it was about the external factors like a glass ceiling, because in entrepreneurship there is no concept of a glass ceiling. You are in charge of your destiny.
Mhm.
But I think that being a woman entrepreneur, you are still a woman, you're still a homemaker, you're still a wife, you're still a mother, and those responsibilities are there on your shoulders. And I think for me, it has always been about finding that incredible internal strength and passion to keep going despite any of the personal, let's say, changes, or what the right word is, the changes in the responsibility at home.
Mm.
Sometimes it can also turn into crisis, it can turn into guilt, it can
True.
turn into
Yeah.
um, a tug, with between your heart and your head. But I think I'm very happy, and I remember first time from when my son was born. I have only one son, and I love being a mom. It's something very special for me. But I literally started working on the fifth day that he was
Mm.
born. I
Mm.
started with my secretary coming home for some signatures, and we started meeting 2 hours a day. Then there was some video conferencing. Some people started coming for meetings, and before I knew it, within 10 days, I was working
Back.
and
Yeah.
then working and feeding, and that's
True.
fine, because I
Yeah.
was still able to give manage. And then I realized that I want to be a wonderful mom, but I also love my what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I have to prioritize these two things, and then maybe deprioritize some of the other things, which, because you all have 24 hours in a day. But if the Prime Minister of India and the President of the United States is able to manage, in 24 hours a day, then we should also be able to.
Yeah.
So I think prioritizing your time,
Mm.
prioritizing what is important to you, staying on course. It's very easy to make an excuse and drop out of saying, okay, I'll start after some years. But then every action has a reaction. There is a cost you will pay for it, I believe. So if you really like this journey or professional journey or a career or entrepreneurship, whatever you're doing in your professional space, I think staying true to it, staying on course, sometimes like they say in a sport, when you can't hit a winning stroke, stay in the volley,
Mm.
don't drop the ball. Just
True.
keep returning the ball. And when you get a chance, then you hit that smash. So just staying at the course has been one important thing, and trying to manage all the priorities, trying to get support from the family members,
Yeah. That's really
as much as
crucial.
possible. Not trying to be a superwoman, because if
True.
you're trying to be a superwoman, you're going to be only a super stressed or super exhausted woman. So finding the systems, finding the ways, but as long as you are having that clear sense of purpose or direction, and you know that this is what is important to you, I think that's what's important. So don't let anybody else control your destiny. You control it yourself. You decide how you want to allocate your time, because it's your time.
Yeah.
And just that's my learning has been. As far as the world of business goes, I have found that it's been an advantage for me, honestly. I
That's
think
nice
if
to
you are
hear.
if you're a woman in a room full of 40 men, which is a common thing in automobiles,
Yeah.
and if you open your mouth and speak something which is meaningful and intelligent,
Mm.
in fact, you will be heard and you will be remembered. So being a woman in a man's world in automobiles has been an advantage for me,
Okay.
because I've been sincere about it. I've been working as hard as the men have. I've never kind of, taken it for granted. There's a placard on my desk that says, "Don't worry, there's a woman on the job." So I'm always
It's a
leading
lovely
from the
one.
front, getting my hands dirty. So I mean, I love what I do. So,
Yeah.
but this is what has worked for me. And people therefore take me seriously, because they know I've been around for a while, and I'm passionately contributing.
No, absolutely. I mean, like you mentioned that, that what pulls you to your work will always make you cross every obstacle. And I always believe after now hearing you, this is something I've always told, that success is something that you can get whether you're a man or a woman. It doesn't matter in that case. However, how you cross every obstacle is the obstacles are not gender based. So how you cross every obstacle is exactly what takes you to your next step. Women have different challenges in their career life, and men have different challenges. So let's not make it gender based challenges. It's just the challenge given by the universe to us and given differently to men. Ultimately, anyone who has a goal, anyone who has a purpose has to cross those challenges. And I think, Sulaja, you've really balanced it so well. And the way you are now coming up with new ideas and new innovations in this field, it's like a game changer. So I really like what you said. Just do it and keep moving ahead. So, Sulaja, before we get into our next round of leadership rapid fire, what is your biggest piece of advice to our people who want to succeed in their career life?
Um, as I said, I've used this word throughout: perseverance and resilience, hard work. There's no shortcut to hard work.
True.
Um, that they say that, success is not, um, failure is not final, and success is not a destination. The moment you're celebrating a milestone, there is a challenge waiting for you. So it's something that you have to do day in and day out. So I think that having that maturity, that that clarity, that this is not a 100-meter race, it's a marathon. So you need to pace yourself. So I think I would just say that hard work and perseverance, and having a sense of purpose. I think for me, the fact that our business is purpose driven, whether it is the purpose of creating impact, creating, reducing pollution, creating green jobs, or for me to add to the meaningfully to the legacy of the family, that is extremely gratifying. So in Japanese, they call it ikigai, find
Yeah,
your purpose.
yeah,
Look like a guiding pole, why am I doing what I'm doing?
correct. Yes.
This have worked, but last I would say it's also important to pivot. So, passion, perseverance, purpose, and I would add the fourth one, which is pivot. That means that, they said that there's a concept called dead horse theory,
Mm.
that if something is not working, even though you love it or that was
Yeah,
your original idea,
yeah.
you have to be open to pivoting. Because
Mm.
otherwise, it will, if it's a dead horse, if the
Yeah,
world has changed, if
true.
factors, variables have changed, you need to pivot. So these
Very,
are the four things you have to be have that kind of agility. So you have to have passion, perseverance, purpose, and ability to pivot is what I feel is important. But I say that we have only one life, so let's, as they say, why be normal? I do believe that it's the mad people who change the world.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so, you have to be a little crazy. Everybody can lead a normal life, but if you want to do something fantastic, you have the chance. It's in your hands, and I like to do
Mm.
something which I feel is having some small, mark, something that I can feel good about. So I think it's very
Very true.
gratifying.
And you are yourself a testimony to everything that you have just mentioned. So I think that really, coming from you, it shows that you have walked the path, and that's why you are saying these things. So, Sulaja, I'm
I'll
going
just
to my
I'll
next.
say
Yeah,
one more thing, Payal. I'll say one more thing, Payal, just to
sure.
add a sense of realism to this whole thing, because people shouldn't feel that, leaders who come and speak on
Mm.
these podcasts, they have everything is good and all is well,
Right.
and they are just like to have things fall into place. I would say that's not the case. I think all of us have faced setbacks. We have faced failures.
True.
Some things have not worked. We have gone through self-doubt.
Mm.
And I would also advise people to say to do two things. One is that to choose your battles, because you win some, you lose some. So if something is not crucial, don't worry about it. There's a book I read called The Art of Not Giving a FUCK. It's a famous
Mm.
book. It resonated with me because it says that, things which are important, care about them. Things which are not important, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And that's one way to make yourself effective and not be bothered by too many variables. So that
Mm.
is important. That focus and embrace failures and setbacks, because as
Yeah.
I said, it's a marathon, which is a strength as well. That means you can always pick up the pace when the time
True.
is right.
True.
I would like to say that everybody goes through. Everybody has stuff going on. Nobody's life
Yeah.
is perfect. So
A lot.
I
A
want
lot.
everyone to know that we've also had a set of
Correct.
you know uh, challenges. Yeah.
Absolutely. And what you said about failure, I could not resonate more. My first book that got released in 2017 actually had 22 rejections from the publisher before the 23rd publisher took it up. So, what you're saying is right. Everybody has their own journey. You have to have that purpose and you have to know how to move ahead in that journey on your own. And that's why entrepreneurship, like you said, Be prepared for it, don't just jump into it for the sake of going there. Super. So Suraja, moving to our leadership rapid fire, it's one of my favorite parts. Yeah. So whatever comes to your mind immediately as a one word or a one sentence is what I would like to hear for our audience. Yeah. So you're ready for it?
Sure. Sure.
Great. Okay. A must have leadership quality.
Passion.
Okay. What's one thing that you wish you had known early on in your career?
That success is never linear. It's always going to be an up and down journey. So
And
now I know it. In the beginning,
yeah,
I didn't take it so
right.
well. I
And,
have,
and you've
yeah.
explained that so well when you spoke about your entire company and everything. What's your personal mantra or quote that helps you through the day?
Fitness. I spend an hour a day on either yoga or gymming or walking or running.
Do you do it every day?
Um, every day. I mean, except 6 days a week, let's say. And
Nice.
I would highly encourage everyone to, dedicate that
Absolutely.
1 hour to themselves. Yeah. A
Absolutely.
physically fit mind body would help to have an energized mind.
Correct. Very
And
true.
I think health is something we take for granted and till
Yeah.
we have it.
I
So,
mean,
so far it, yeah.
you having such a big company you're running, you're taking out the time for yourself. I think anyone can do it. You have to do it. What you said is very true. If you're able to do it, being such a hectic schedule, anyone can do it. So I think that's a great thing that
Have
you
to
brought out on
prioritize
the
it. Yeah.
podcast.
Prioritize. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great thing you brought out on the podcast. Which superpower would Sudhaja choose? Invisibility or mind reading?
I think mind reading,
Okay.
because invisibility, I think, is cheating, whereas mind reading is a power.
Right, you can do so much goodness with that more, right? You would
Yeah,
know
it's
what
not
people
cheating.
are
It's like
looking
the other
for.
person doesn't know that you're not there, doesn't know that you're.
And we don't want Suraja to be invisible, right? I mean, you're doing so much. I know. If you could change one thing about the business and the corporate world, what change would you bring?
Um, I think more opportunities for the smaller startups and MSMEs. I
Okay.
think it is coming up, but the big established guys just have so many more advantages. The
Mm,
banks want to lend money to people who don't need money. The big guys are able to influence policy, whereas India is such a diverse country, and if we are able to just unleash that power of our youth more and have many more success stories,
okay.
that is something that I would love, and I do a lot of work in that area as a part of FICCI. But yes, I think more
Wow.
heroes from all walks of the society.
Superb. That is so nice. And that wraps up our leadership fire round, rapid fire round. So, Suraja, thank you so much. I know how your schedule is, and you've taken the time to be on this podcast. So, it's really grateful that we have an opportunity to listen to you and to learn from you. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And this one's for our listeners. This is Sulajja and Payal Nanjiani wishing you loads of success in your career life. God bless.